Now, this next era, in my humble opinion, because of course this is the Athletics Fans A1 channel, facts, not fiction, and lots of opinion, mine. Therefore, in my opinion, this is the greatest era of female sprinting ever in many ways, okay? You may disagree, but when I detail what these two women have done and for the length of time they've done it, I think you might agree, along with all of the achievements therein. Okay, so from 1977 to 1986, that is 9 consecutive years. 9 consecutive years, these two women dominated the 100 meters sprint in athletics. Now, what if I were to say the names to you? Marlies, Gohr, and Evelyn Ashford. Right, for some of you, the pennies dropped. Okay, right, of course. If you'd forgotten, how could you forget? Those two, in those intervening years, were clearly number 1 and 2 ahead of the entire world. In fact, one could only ever really beat the other. There was nobody that came close. Nobody, no other American or East German came close to challenging these two ladies' domination of the 100 meters. Now, Marlies Gohr was number 1 in the shorter sprint in 77, 78, 79, 80, 82 and 85. Evelyn was number 1 in the same event in 81, 83, 84 and 86. Okay? They shut everybody out. Nobody had a chance. It reminds me of all of the greatest sporting rivalries that exist. Navratilova, Evert, Prost and Senna, Ali and Foreman. You name it. This rivalry was fierce, sustained, and brought out of these two ladies some of the greatest sprinting achievements and performances the world will ever know. Between two of them, with respect to everybody else in the sport, it was only about these two for nearly a decade, which is phenomenal. I'm about to list their achievements and let you know why I believe this era, above all eras, is the greatest in terms of the 100 meters for women. Here we go. Marlies Gohr. Her personal best was 10:81 in 1983, which was at that time a world record. Okay. She was born on March 21st, 1958, which makes her, as of the recording of this video, 67 years old. Okay, and I hope alive and well. Well, obviously alive, I hope well. Okay. So her Olympic journey began in 1976, where she placed 8th, which is last in the 100 meters. Evelyn was at that same Olympic Games and I believe finished in 6th. Okay, I believe Marlies was 18 then and Evelyn 19. So two teenagers making their Olympic debuts got to the final, which is no mean feat, and kind of showed what was to come for the next decade or so. Marlies won the sprint relay with the GDR, as I mentioned before, when I was talking about Ms. Stecker and Ms. Richter in the previous parts of this video. In 1977, here is where the contributions of both of these women get very serious, okay? In 1977, she broke the world record running 10.88 seconds, being the first woman to run under the 11-second barrier electronically. Prior to that, as I mentioned earlier on, Ms. Stecker, her countrywoman, basically ran the world record under 11 seconds too, but hand-timed, okay? So this is about as accurate as measurements we're ever gonna get. So she broke that barrier and was the first woman to ever do that. That can never be taken away from her, okay? So we're talking about somebody who has left a mark on the sport that can never be taken away. Now, she had a very unorthodox technique, as did Evelyn. But in Marlies Gohr's case, she almost ran like she was fast jogging on the spot. Yeah, arms very, very low and staccato strides. You'd never teach that to any youngster, even now. A unique style, but it worked for her because it got her many, many honours. Conversely, Evelyn Ashford had a very, very also unorthodox running style as well. Arms low, but because of hip alignment, she basically would run with her heels flicking outwards behind her. A very unique running style. So they both had very unorthodox and unique techniques, which made them distinctive and obviously very successful at what they did. As I mentioned, they dominated the event for about 9 years. During that time, in 1983, the very first world champs, as we know them today, took place in Helsinki in 83. Marlies became another barrier breaker, the very first world champion at the 100 meters there, beating Evelyn. Now at the top of the video, you saw a clip of that race. It was hugely dramatic. I will link it below because it was one of the first times, or the first time, they ever met at a world champs. Marlies prevailed, Evelyn did not. So the year after was the Olympic Games in LA. Now, in retaliation, some say, to the American and some Western nations' boycott of Moscow in 1980, Russia and basically the entire Eastern Bloc boycotted LA. So, in LA, Evelyn won the shortest sprint in an Olympic record time of 10:7.9 going away. She was the hot favourite to win it in Marlies' absence. But at the end of the day, Evelyn, being the supreme competitor that she is, knew that to be number one in the world that year, she'd have to go to Europe and race Marlies, which she duly did. So she arrived in Europe as the Olympic champion finally, and the world, Olympic champion, and one of the fastest women. Actually, no, she actually was world record holder because she broke it in 83 going into the world champs. And Marlies had broken it a couple of weeks before. So she went in to 84 as world record holder and then became Olympic champion, but had to go to Europe to be the undisputed number one. So at the Weltklasse meeting in Europe, they clashed over the 100 meters. It is a phenomenal race. I will link it below because in that race, Evelyn broke the world record again and Marlies was in second place. So basically there could be no disputing the fact that at that time, Evelyn, being Olympic champion and world record holder, beating Marlies, who sadly could not be in LA, made her the number one sprinter in the world. And I would say of that era, because Marlies never won the 100 at an Olympic Games. Silver in 1980 to a Soviet athlete, but never was Olympic champion in that event. Their rivalry raged on, culminating in, as I said, 1986.